My dear fellow Toastmasters, I hope you all had a great Diwali. On behalf of Toastmasters Leadership Institute, this is Sai Sridhar Janardhanan. You can call me as Sai. I welcome you all for this session on how to script a speech. Many of us get stuck sometimes when we are creating the script for our speeches. Sometimes it flows, sometimes we get stuck. After we deliver the speech, we feel that we could have done in a better way. How do we ensure that we fine tune our skills in that area? To ensure that we are on a continuous basis, fine tune our skills, Toastmasters Leadership Institute has come up with this learning intervention, How to Script a Speech, Episode 2. When I say episode 2, it is not a sequel to episode 1. Basically, we are doing the session again with another facilitator. So it is standalone and it has got no connection. So create your own bonsai. That is going to be the title of today's session. And who is going to be the facilitator of today's session? We all know that we would have seen it in the flyer. So let me formally introduce the facilitator of today's session. The facilitator of today's session is distinguished Toastmaster Subhadip Banik. So a little bit introduction about Subhadip Banik. Subhadip Banik has been working with Infosys for 9+ years, turning his passion into profession by changing his career path from being a test analyst to a senior trainer now with Infosys Learning and Development. He's also an avid Toastmaster for around 8 years now. He has won several accolades in the forum of public speaking, including the coveted Distinguished Toastmaster title, that is the highest educational award presented by Toastmasters International to any individual. He has also delivered over 200 plus speeches and has been invited in several organizations like Renault Nissan, Daimler India, HCL, Zoho, IIT Madras, Hindustan University, and many more. He is also a mentor and a coach to many in Chennai fraternity. Without much delay, I take great pleasure in inviting distinguished Toastmaster Shubadip Banik to enlighten us with this session, Create Your Own Bonsai. Over to you, distinguished Toastmaster Shubadip Banik.
Thank you so much, Sai, for that great introduction. And I think we Toastmasters have now got used to getting great introductions. So thank you once again. And it's great to be back in this forum. I hope you all had a safe and great Diwali with you and your family. So what we are going to do today for the next 50 to 60 minutes is that we are going to learn some of the techniques that helps us in actually framing our speeches, right? During the course of the session today, for the next 1 hour, I want you all to interact. Please put your comments on the chat window. Feel free to stop me anytime during the session itself. If you think I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow, feel free to stop me and ask questions. I'd be happy to repeat anytime during the session. We don't have any question answer section at the end, so please feel free to ask anytime in between, right? Now, what I am going to ask you at the very beginning is, why do you think a big tree and compared to a big tree and a bonsai has more value? Why is it so? You can put your answers on the chat window. Or you can unmute yourself and speak as well if you can unmute. Why do you think a bonsai has a more value than a bigger tree? Is it because it's scarce? Okay, I'll take that. It's short and cute. Agreed. Looks better. Unusual. Correct. Rare species. Yes, sort of. A lot of care goes into growing it, easy to maintain. Trust me, it's not easy to maintain. It's an ornamental tree, okay? It's characteristics of a tree in a mini form, exactly. Every single characteristic of a tree but in a mini form, right? Refined growth, it's short and complete, it's attractive. But if you look at it, it has every single feature that is there in a bigger tree. It's not just a sapling, right? There's a huge difference between a plant and a bonsai, right? Now, why I'm picking this and why I chose this as my topic today is that anybody can, given the time frame, anybody can create a speech and engage their audience if you're given 1 hour or 2 hours or 30 minutes, 45 minutes and all that. Anybody can do that. But what we are going to look at is how do you engage your audience? How do you actually convey your message, put everything that comes in a bigger tree, comes in a bigger 30-minute speech into that smaller 7-minute speech, right? How you make that compact, how you make it look beautiful, in spite having all the features that is there in a bigger tree, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, interestingly, why I picked this topic, because I have been working on a small bonsai, right? Now, does this look like somewhat near a bonsai? It's not complete yet. I'll give a disclaimer. It's not complete yet. It has a lot to grow. And I will keep this as a reference. Okay, I'll keep it aside here. I'll make this as a reference. Now, remember we talked about how a bonsai looks like a bigger tree, right? Now, can you tell me any 3 features that makes a bonsai distinct from a bonsai perspective? Any ideas? What makes a bonsai look very beautiful and distinctive, and we call it, yes, it's a bonsai, and not just a plant? Okay, I know it's a little out of the topic, right? Look and structure, yes. Look and structure, there are 3 main things which makes a bonsai. Everything is in a tree, is in a bonsai, the alive miniature, many branches, exactly. All that is true, right? But think about this. When you look at a bigger tree, the first thing that you notice is the leaves are bigger, right? The leaves, which keeps the tree alive, which is the best part of the tree itself. The leaves, the flowers, the fruits, all are much, much smaller. If you look at this, the leaves are not even one thing, not even this much, right? So my first tip when you are trying to compact your speech is that while you are putting all the details in your speech, how do you make the same thing smaller? How do you actually bring down the speech, bring down the leaves, bring down the flowers, bring down the fruits into a smaller size while it gives you that same essence of a bigger leaf, right? Now, in bonsai, what you need to do is the moment the leaves start growing bigger, you need to cut it off and you need to let new leaves grow in its place. Sometimes you need to cut down the leaf itself halfway. Now, exactly like that, while you are preparing your speech, what happens is there are a lot of ideas in our mind. Has it happened that there are too many ideas in our mind and we are not able to focus at which one to put in the speech and which one not to? I don't have time to speak so much. Yes, most of the time it happens. And sometimes we find that the incident is so interesting for me. It was so great. Explaining the incident itself takes around 5 minutes and I don't have time to engage my audience. I don't have time to ask them questions. I don't have time to give the message. And that's where exactly you need to cut down your leaves. You need to use that same structure. See how you use words to give that same amount of details, but in a much more smaller size. Right? And this is the first thing we need to understand, that you give them the exact same thing, but tell them what is exactly needed, what your audience will understand, and still they will get the same essence of it. Now, let me give you an example for this. Let's say I am from Kolkata, I'm a Bengali, and I talk about a Bengali ritual. I am talking around a ritual. Now, if I um, go on explaining the ritual itself and then explain the joke, would you like it? Would you get it if I go on explaining, you know what, in the wedding, in Bengali weddings, this is what the ritual is. And then for 2-3 minutes, I'm explaining what the ritual is, why that ritual is important and all those things. And then I tell you that, you know what, while doing that ritual, this is the mess up that happened. Would you like it? Would you get the joke itself? Ideally, no. Because the amount of time I have spent explaining the ritual itself, you have lost interest. And you are not able to connect. So, which means must have this taste of the audience. Very true. Yes. Right? And exactly why you need to understand that, can I bring that bigger leaf into that smaller size? How do I do this? I give them only the information that is required. So I tell them that, you know what? In Bengali wedding, there is a ritual which involves this. But when they tried to do this, this is how they messed it up. Because for me, that joke is important. So I cut down the unnecessary details. How do I cut down the unnecessary details? How do I know which one is needed and which one is not? Again, I will go back to the bonsai. One of the key aspects of the plant is, when you're trying to cut down the leaves, you need to understand which branches the leaves are important. Means which branches, which of the leaves actually directly gives life. If I cut it, the plant might die. Which means in a speech, if that details directly contributes to the specific purpose of the speech, I will keep it. If it does not solve that purpose, I will cut it down. I will not keep it. So if in my speech, my generic purpose, let's say, is to inform the audience, let's say it is to inspire the audience, let's say it is to inflict humor, it can be any of the generic purposes. And when you boil it down, I have a specific purpose of my speech. What is that specific purpose? It's the message that I'm giving. Yes, exactly. It's the message that I'm giving. So whatever I put into the speech, does it directly contribute to either inflecting that inspiration, inflicting that humor, inflicting that knowledge, and does it directly go into serving that message that I'm giving? If any details does not directly contribute to that message, I will cut it off. Only once you start cutting off those bigger leaves, you will be able to grow those smaller leaves in your bonsai. And that is the first thing you need to understand. Okay, I'll take a pause here. Any question on cutting down the details? Any question for anyone, or anyone wants to put forward any idea? Okay, I guess there are no questions.
I hope you can, participants can unmute themselves. Can you?
Yes, please. Participants, if you want, you can unmute yourself and ask as well. Okay, I have a question from Purnima. How do you identify the big leaf from a small leaf? It completely depends on you, Purnima. It completely depends on how small you want it to become, right? And it's up to you how much you want to fit into that 7-minute speech. Now, I know many people say that you should have 3 stories, or you should have, a starting, then 3 stories, and then into the conclusion. No, there is nothing like that. You want to fit in 1 story, your leaf can be bigger. If you want to put in 3 stories, your leaves have to be smaller. Your time frame is the same. So you need to understand how much I want to fit in there, right? But again, as I said, no matter how relevant or how big you want to keep your speech, even if the details that you're telling your audience does not contribute to the specific and the generic and specific purpose of the speech, do not keep it. Put some other information that will help you to strengthen the speech. And I'll come to that part for the second aspect of a bonsai. Okay, as of now, did I answer that? Purnima? Okay, yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
Ishwar here.
Yes,
Do you
Ishwar.
start when you write a 7-minute script? Do you start with a bullet point kind of a model and then expand that to 7 minutes, or do you write a larger script and then cut it down, bring it down to 7 minutes? Which is the more ideal way suited?
Very good question. Again, I will put this to the Bonsai reference because I have come determined that I'm going to do this today. One of the aspects which I wanted to speak in a later stage, but good that you asked this, Ishwar. The thing is, think about it. If the tree grows big, can you cut it down to a bonsai?
It's hard, definitely hard.
Definitely not. You have to literally cut it down, right? So if you write a very big speech, you will never be able to cut it down into a 7-minute speech. If it has already become a 50, in fact, I have seen people who have written 2,000 words or 3,000 words, and then I have tried to cut it down to, I've told them to cut it down to a 7-minute speech, which is essentially maybe 800 words, and they are not able to. So it's okay if your speech, let's say, goes to 1,000 words, maybe 1,100 words. But if it goes bigger than that, you will not be able to cut it down. Then you have to think of a different technique, which I'll come at a later stage. Ideally, I would say, think about the incidents that you want to put. Think about that these are the 3 things I want to talk about. Okay. Now, I know that if I want to, let's say, I'll do away with the 3 analogy of 3. Let's say I have 2 stories. Now, I know that if I want to put 2 stories, including an introduction and a conclusion, for each story, I cannot spend more than, let's say, 250 words, right? So I will try to write down each story in a maximum of 300 to 350 words so that later I can do a cut down and bring it to that 200 to 50 words.
Right.
Okay, that's a good technique to, keep a check on yourself itself. If you write it too big at the very beginning, you will not be able to cut it down too much. I have not been able to, at least, and I don't think it's very tough to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anirudh has a question. Should we cut the speech to short and sweet speech with humor, conveying the message properly? It should always be. Trust me, I am into L&D space, and anyone who has done a session would know it. If you tell them that it's a 30-minute session, if you end it at 20 minutes, nobody will kill you. If you tell them it's a 30-minute session and you end it at 40 minutes, people are going to curse you. The same perspective. Someone is not on mute. If you are not speaking, please be on mute. Okay. Thank you. As I was saying, now you have 5 to 7 minute speech. There is no hard and fast rule. You have to go till 7 minutes. Okay. If you keep it short and sweet, you can end it within 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes, perfectly fine. If you keep it to the 7-minute extent, there is always a chance you might also run out of the time, especially when it's given a contest. So you need to understand that. What if we are running short of words? If you are going less, Tabassum, is that the question? If your speech is lesser than the expected time, okay, let it grow. Let it grow. Give it time to grow. I'll come to that aspect as well, Tabassum. Give me a little bit. I'll come back to that aspect and tell you. Okay, what's the ideal? Okay, after that, I had the question. What's the ideal WPM? I am bad with acronyms. WPM?
I guess
words per minute.
I guess words per minute.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. We are reinventing stuff now. Ideally, it completely up to you. What I would suggest is don't write more than, for a 7-minute speech, I would not suggest going beyond 800 words. If you are a moderate speaker, if you are speaking a little faster, 900 is still okay. Beyond that, your audience will not be able to understand and register what you have spoken. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sometimes a speaker may not know enough of a given topic, and whatever he knows makes up to a speech which is less than the expected time limitation. So can we beat around the bush at that time, or how do we overcome this problem? Shrikar, I will also come back to you regarding this. I think you and Tabassum have on a similar lines, and I will come back to that part, definitely. Okay. How to identify a topic of a speech. I will again come back to that also. Now, interesting fact, I'll quickly move on to the second part. If you look at this bonsai, right, one of the key features of a bonsai is that it should have a strong bark. It should have a thick bark, right? If you look at right now, if you go to Google and search for bonsai, any bonsai plant will have a thick bark. If it has a thin bark, it looks like a plant, right? And that's where the part comes, what you give to your audience. You might think you have created a bonsai. You might think that what you have created is a bonsai, but what people looks at it is just a plant. And that's where you need to keep in mind which audience you are serving it to. Now, let me give you this perspective of it. The second perspective, which is very, very important and which I want to talk about, is understand your credibility, understand your audience's level, understand that whether they need that speech at all or not, right? This comes from two things. One, which audience am I serving it to? Now, think about this. If I see that if I'm doing a session which is not in a Toastmasters fraternity, obviously I will use different kind of references. If I'm giving a speech in a Toastmasters fraternity, I would have no problem using any Toastmaster reference. So that is one key highlight. Second thing is, who are you to say something to your audience? Now today, think about this. You have seen these posters about me and you heard my introduction as well. If that introduction was not given, if no poster was given, and suddenly you say that, you know what, there is a Toastmaster called Shubadip Banik, he is doing a speech. The first question that will come to your mind is, why? Who is he? Right? How come he is the one who is doing a session on, how to build a speech and not some experienced person? That will be the first question that comes to your mind. The same question comes to your audience's mind when you give them a speech. And this is where Shrikar, I think, had asked that question, that sometimes if the speaker does not know enough on the subject and is delivering a speech, I never ever recommend, at least my mentees or people who come to me for mentoring, I never recommend them to go and give a speech on which they have half knowledge. In fact, no knowledge is better than half knowledge. Never ever try to give someone else's gyan to your audience. If you try to give me a gyan, my first question will be like, have you copied it from someone? And the first thing is, can I read it from a book? If I can read it from a book, why am I wasting 7 minutes listening to you? What is your credibility that you are telling this to me? Right? Ask yourself that question. Why should my audience listen to me? And something which I've learned over the last 8 years in Toastmasters, please do not take the stage for granted. Please do not take your audience for granted. Today, I can see there are 220 participants who are here. 220 participants spending an hour for my session means 220 hours I am utilizing. If I don't deliver, it's a crime I am doing. Please understand that. Every time you take the stage, every time you speak to your audience, it's the onus on you to deliver to your audience. Don't make them expect a bonsai and show them a plant, right? Have enough data. One, if you're talking about an informative speech, have enough data. Two, always back it up with personal experience. What made you choose that topic? Why you got that curiosity? What have you done to implement that in your life? Right? Always have these points with you. Otherwise, your audience will not listen to you. Your audience will just listen, and in their mind, they're cursing you. Trust me, I am a person who takes a lot of session, and I know how they curse us when we do not establish our credibility on a subject, right? And that's where it comes that always, so let's say I'll take this example of a researcher topic. right? And this is where we most of the time struggle. I have given a researcher topic on how biryani is made, right? Now, what I did is, if I want to go and establish credibility on who the hell am I to speak about how biryani is made, I don't have any credibility. So I spoke about particularly Kolkata biryani. And I spoke about how potato was introduced in Kolkata biryani. That was my theme. I cannot speak about a broader theme. What is my credibility? I'm a Bengali. And I established the first credibility that my mom cooks the best Kolkata biryani I have ever eaten. And that is how I know how it is made. I established that credibility at the beginning of my speech. And then I give them the facts. And then I, circle it back to talking about how my mom made the best Kolkata biryani and how I go home and that biryani was waiting for me. And it was delicious. I give my experience. You see, I created the credibility first, that I am the authentic person to talk about that. Then I encapsulate the data within it. And again, to give people that understanding, I give them the experience again at the end that, see, I have tasted that and I have that credibility to talk about it. Right? And that's exactly what we are going to talk about. Okay, that is one very important fact, that when you are actually talking to your audience, especially for research or topic, you have to make sure that you establish your credibility, you give them your experience, and you encapsulate all the other data inside that. Okay, that is what makes your speech authentic. That's where audience will remember you. That's where you establish that, yes, you are the person from whom I should listen to it from. Okay, Shrikar, I hope that answered your question. Tabasum, I know your question is still hanging. I will come to that part also. One of the technique is to include your experiences more. That's where let it grow. Think about, if you have an idea, this is for research or topic. If you have an idea, let's say you have thought about one incident that had happened and you have a great idea that comes from it. For example, if I take my magic speech itself, right, the one that I delivered for the district stage, the idea was simple. It all started from the perspective that when I was 5 years old, I cut my finger, and to make me stop crying, my dad said that I will show you a magic trick. And he did nothing. He simply did this. See how I cut my finger and put it back. And I was like, what? My finger is nothing. It's just a small cut. He cut his entire finger and put it back. At that 5-year-old, for me, it was great. And when I grew up, it actually, I realized that was his love for me, right? Now, when I thought about this speech, I didn't have anything else more than this. Now, if I go ahead with this only, it's just a small plant. I cannot create a bonsai with this. It's just one concept. If I add too much of details in this, it becomes irrelevant. Any more details in this incident is irrelevant to the specific purpose of the speech. So I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to present that plant. I let it grow. I thought about what were the other incidents where dad did the same thing for me. Later, I came to that idea, yes, everybody used to do this. Anytime my birthday came, even without me telling that what I wanted, he always used to figure out what is the gift that I wanted. And he used to get that. Then I realized, this was also something he did for me. So this is something where it came. So you see how that branch came out of that? The main bark. Give it time. If you have, one idea, set it aside. It's okay. Let it grow. Let it grow at the side. It might happen that there are bigger leaves that are coming out of it. Wait for that bigger leaf. It's okay. That story, one leaf has gone bigger. You cut it out. Let it become a smaller leaf. And that's where it slowly grows. And this is where I will show you one more thing and why I'm talking about this. You see this plant? You see this? This looks like nothing, right? This is going to be a bonsai in few months. You see, this was almost dead. Look at the kind of leaf picking I have done, right? And there are now smaller leaves that is coming up. Would you believe it if I say this is a bougainvillea tree? This is a bougainvillea tree and this will grow flowers and it will not grow bigger than this. But now it looks like a plant. So I let it grow. It's okay. Let it be. If you have ideas that are coming in your mind, write it down in a diary. Let it incubate. Don't trash it. Because if you trash it, you will never get that idea again. You never know how good that plant will become. Right? So if you have an idea, keep it aside. Think about the other ideas as well. Let that grow in the meantime. You think of some incident, see that whether it fits there. Let the branches grow. Right? And start adding. When you know that it is taking a shape of a bonsai, cut down those leaves. Let the bark become thicker. Right? And that's where how you bring your, create the bonsai effect. Okay? I'll take a pause because there are a lot of questions on the chat window. Let me go through them one at a time. Okay? I have Anirudh saying, how do we identify a topic of a speech? You don't identify a topic of a speech. Right? You don't, before the fruit comes, you don't say that I want to make a mango tree. No, you don't do that. Right? If you decide your topic first, you will be in trouble. Trust me. Decide what is the story. Because if you say that I will get a thick branch from a tree and put it in the soil and it will look like a bonsai, it will not. Okay? I'll come to this part about the roots of the bonsai and how do you spread the roots of a bonsai in a little while. But you don't choose the topic first. Choose about your story. Let the topic come to you. Think how the message comes. What is your learning? Once you have the message, once you have the specific purpose of the speech, automatically you will get the topic of the speech. For the speech I talked about, I never had a topic. I was thinking I should give the topic as parents love. Love. And then I was like, it sounds stupid. But then I realized for me, the message was not just love. It was the magic my dad created. And that's where I named it as It's Magic. And see, it gave a different ring to the entire speech itself. So don't choose your topic first. Okay? How do we develop a metaphor like you are using the bonsai from the title and all through the body? Till conclusion, some example, develop that thought process. Again, please do not, constrict your mindset that I have to use a metaphor. I've been in Toastmaster for 8 years. Anyone here who has seen me doing sessions before can vouch it. I have done several sessions on how to build your speeches before this. This is the first time I have used a metaphor like this because I let it incubate. I let it grow. I was doing this bonsai. This is almost a year old. That one, the other one that I showed you is just some 4 or 5 months old. And I thought that, what I've been doing for the bonsai is similar to what I've been doing for the speech. It came to me. I let it incubate for a long time and then I am presenting it. So don't go that I have to implement a metaphor. It's not needed. If you can't, if it comes to you, well and good. If it doesn't, still okay. Leave it. Okay, keep it simple. See, tell me this, even when I'm using the metaphor, is it complicating the message? Is it complicating the message or is it simple for you to understand? Which one? Is it simple enough for you to understand or is it becoming very complicated? No, I cannot understand because I don't know what a bonsai is. Still simple, right? That's the point, that can I build it to a perspective where people can understand and see it in a simple way? Okay. Okay. Next question was from Venkat. Can a speech get constructed with props and rehearsed with enough gestures for an effective delivery? Again, don't force fit a prop, right? The speech that I had, again, I'll go back to the magic speech that I had used a prop once and it had lost. Trust me, that same speech 2 years before, it didn't even stand on the top 1, 2, 3. in an area level contest. And that same speech 2 years later won the district, came second at the district stage, right? There are certain factors to it. But while you have asked that question, remember one thing. Can you see these wires over here? Can you see these wires over here? Why these wires are there is sometimes the tree doesn't grow like you want it to grow. Okay? And sometimes you need to wire it and make it go in certain direction according to how you want to show it to your audience. Right? So there, if you think a prop works, use it. There, if certain messages work, use it. Okay? In fact, another example I'll give you. So when my dad was sick, he was not able to speak for a long time. What he used to do is he used to write everything in a diary. There was a huge diary. He used to write diary after diary, all that he used to converse with me and my mom. Now, when I go and talk on the stage, I cannot bring the diary over there. I cannot say he has written a diary and he has written so many things. Out of that, one of the thing was that I love you unconditionally. I cannot say that. So what I did is I said that he wrote in a letter. He wrote it in a piece of paper that his love for me was unconditional. Now, am I changing the entire thing itself? No. The essence of the thing is always the same. I'm not changing the emotion behind it. I'm not changing the fact behind it. I'm just presenting it to the audience in a way that is acceptable for the audience. That is simple for the audience to, register. That is simple for the audience to understand. That's all. So use it if it makes it simpler for your audience. And if it enhances your speech, obviously. Okay. Okay. Next question, how to make a speech engaging and attractive? As I said, you need to first construct the speech. Now, again, I'll show you one more thing. From this angle, does it look like a... Okay, from this angle, does it look like a bonsai? Or it looks more like a plant? Okay, it's difficult for me to operate the this one and this one. Does it look like a bonsai or a plant from this angle? If I show it to you like this, it will look like a plant or a shrub, correct? Right? Now, if I show you like this, does it look like a bonsai? Now it looks like a bonsai. Very important part is what phase of your speech you want to show to your audience. What is the right message you want to give to your audience? How do you make it engaging to your audience? Right? That's where I said, understand that what your audience needs, what your audience is. If your audience is elder and you want to give them a speech on love story, it might not work. About your college crush, it might not work, right? Again, I think, for example, in Toastmasters, we have done enough of, marriage and wedding related stories. It won't work. Okay. So understand that aspect of it. Okay. How to make a title or heading of the speech unpredictable to audience regarding the content I am going to propose to them. Don't give away the message. As simple. Just don't give away the message. Whatever is your message tagline, don't give that exact tagline. Think about something else. Like I said that for me, the actual message was love, but I wanted to say it as it's magic, right? While you are in the process, think what is relatable, but doesn't give away all the message. The biggest mistake we make in Toastmasters is we think of the title first, and then we think about the story. Please do not do that. Finish writing your story, and then think about what the title is. I'm sure you will not struggle with it. Okay. How to make audience to focus on the speech. Again, as I said, if you can serve to what the audience needs, is it simple for them? Can they register it in some time? Or is it too much information which they have to understand, they have to know, and then they have to, understand your message? Then they will never work. They will not sit there to, understand some gyan, then process that intelligence, and then understand the message you're trying to say. No, right? They want simple things which they can, take it quickly and understand it. If you can do that, your audience will be engaged with you. Case of table topics or any impromptu speeches, and if the speaker does not know enough about the topic, how can the speaker at the time can manage the same? I won't go into the details. There is a great saying called, if you're told to talk about the cow, you pull the cow, bring it to the tree, tie it to the tree, and then talk about the tree itself. You can always do that in table topics. I'm not going to talk about the table topics contest. It's a separate thing as a whole. There are a whole lot of things. Please feel free to get in touch with me separately. Maybe we'll talk about that. Okay. Okay, I have, okay, no, Puneet, okay, Renee, okay, now I'm forgetting. I saw rename your profile as name and club name. I was like, what question is that? Okay, yeah, I understand. So when can I find your, where can I find your sessions on how to build a speech? It's not recorded, unfortunately. These are all Toastmasters stuff. Simple, however, it's explained very well. Okay, I'm yet to give my icebreaker speech and I'm having trouble coming up with your engaging content. Don't think about engaging content. Don't think about engaging. As long as it is your content, it's unique. As long as it is your story, it's unique. Just give them your story. Don't think about some engaging content. It has to be filled with humor. Trust me, many people say that you have to have humor in your speech to be able to engage your audience. I am somebody who is pathetic with humor, and I don't try to implement humor. Yes, I try sometimes, but not as a humorous speech. I always play on my strengths, and I am okay with that. I don't go by that. While preparing a speech, we need to think of incidents and script a speech which conveys the message properly to the audience, and then identify the topic from the speech, right? Yes, think about the incidents. Maybe you have one incident which conveys one message. Then you have another incident which conveys another message. There is not necessary you have to tie this together. If they are close by incidents, like I said, you see, these two branches were close. These two were close, so I tied them together. But these two were not, so I let them go. Right? You cannot, if I try to put these two together, I am going to hurt the tree. I'm going to hurt this bonsai. So don't force fit and tie stories together. Tie the stories together that works, that are close to each other. Emotionally, the message wise, those are close to each other. Okay. And then, yes, then you script it together and finally you decide the title. While using dialogues, we can make it monologue while presenting the speech. It's up to you. The technique is completely up to you. Okay. It's completely up to you. Okay. How to make the speech acceptable by the audience? You have to understand your audience. You cannot say that this is what my speech is. Now, how will I make it acceptable to my audience? No, that doesn't work. It has to be like, is my speech acceptable to my audience? If yes, then this is the part I keep. This part is not acceptable. Then let me look at what is the angle that will be acceptable. Is this data too much for the audience? I cannot give a speech where I have to explain Bengali culture. I cannot give a speech of that in Chennai. I have to think what is the similarity of Chennai culture with Kolkata culture, draw a parallel and serve them with the Chennai culture. That's how I make my speech acceptable. I cannot say I want to talk about Kolkata culture, people have to accept it. No, it does not work. Okay. How to make the speech acceptable? Okay, I got that. Is there any specific suggestion that will help us to finish a speech with a bang? That the ideas, what we share, dwell in their heart. Okay, that is where my third and the most important part comes in, is that what you see above of a bonsai, right, is not what it is. A bonsai, any bonsai video, if you see, a bonsai strength is not, and the beauty is not in all of this. It's what lies beneath. The roots of the bonsai. The roots of the bonsai, if you have seen any bonsai pictures where there is a huge banyan tree as a bonsai and such a small pot, because the roots are so strong. And that's where my third and the most important tip comes in. If the story is not close to your heart, if the story is not something very close to you, you will never be able to create that bonsai. You will never be able to convince your audience to be emotionally attached to that speech. You have to be first fully convinced about that speech, about the emotions that you're delivering, right? Keep it simple for your audience. They don't need to see the roots, right? But when that root spread, your branches will become stronger. You will have more leaves in your speech, right? You will automatically be able to give a visual, a delight to your speech. So let your emotional roots spread out. Make them strong. Search in your memories. Trust me, the human brain is an amazing thing. And it has a lot of memories if you just look into it. Look into what are those roots you want to rely on, right? And then bring that emotion. See how you will engage that emotion with your audience. What is the common thing between me and my audience, right? If you can do that, as I said, when I was giving my magic speech, I realized that I'm talking about myself only, me and my dad. But what is the relation that audience gets out of it? And that's where I implemented a question. I said, I was talking about how my dad gets me things even when I don't ask for it. And I asked the audience, when was the last time you got something for your loved ones even when they didn't ask for it? Now I'm making you think. I'm not saying when your dad got it. Maybe they have not. When did you get something for your loved one even when they are asked for it? Now, even if the audience have got something, they will think. Even if they have not got it, they're like, why haven't I done it yet? I know they need something and I haven't done it yet. I am putting them into a thought. I'm engaging them into my speech. So what I'm doing is I am not only making my audience listen to my speech, I'm making my audience experience my speech. I'm making my audience experience those emotions. So while they are looking at that branch, while they're looking at the leaves, while they're looking at that strong stem, the strong bark itself, they're actually what they're experiencing in the strong root of emotions that are there. I'm making them go through those emotions. So if you can make them go through those emotions, if you can make them feel those emotions through your expressions, through your words, asking them questions, it can be various techniques. Automatically what will happen is while you are going towards the end of the speech, they're riding with you to that high. And when you reach the end, do not give a gyan, right? Do not give a gyan. Do not explain the message. End it sweet and simple and short. Okay? Keep your ending always short. Keep it a simple thing that they can remember. It need not be a bang on closing. It just needs to be simple message that people will remember. People can remember. But the secret to that ending lies all across your speech. When I gave my speech for the magic, I was doing all those things, and in the district stage, I'm sure many of you are here who had been in the district of that contest. When I spoke last, and I talked about how I went home for my mom's birthday, and she was expecting something, and I got it for her even without she telling it to me. And she asked me, how did you know? I said, I whispered saying that it's magic. That was my ending. I just wanted to say it's magic. That was the ending of the speech because everybody knew that the magic is love. But what happened is when I was doing that, I just took a pause to whisper saying it's magic. And I heard that 1,000 people whisper back, it's magic. They knew what I'm going to say. Because it's simple. Because it's short. Because I have taken them through that emotional ride. And that's what your audience needs. Okay. I'll take the rest of the questions. Okay. Even for a speaker who does not know how to engage humor in a speech, is it possible or any way for the speaker to engage humor? Don't force fit humor. Please don't force fit humor. Go with the emotions that you are feeling, right? Your audience will feel it. As I said, if you have your roots strong, your audience will know it. You don't need to rely only on humor or only on sad stories. Your audience will know that and feel that with you. Okay?
I have a question. Can I ask you?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. This is Ishwar again.
Yeah.
One of the ways of engaging the audience is to ask them some relevant questions, so that no, you are also making them participative in the speech during the speech. But at
True.
the same time, is it right to ask them open-ended questions, or it could rob the time? So is it preferable not to ask? What's your thought on this?
Okay. Golden rule, as you said, yes, it is always good. If you can ask a question, again, don't force fit something, right?
Yeah.
If there is a scope, you can ask a question, but never ask a question where you need your audience's answer and then you can proceed. Never ask that question. While we want to engage our audience and all that is fine, but if they don't give you the answer which you are expecting, you will be in trouble. Always ask a question and move on. When I
Okay.
ask the question, when was the last time you you got something for your loved ones, even without them asking you? I did not wait for the answer. I
Right.
gave a pause. While they're thinking, I said, it's magic.
Mm.
I pointed out, that's your magic. That's it. I did not do anything else. I did not wait for them to, come back and tell me something.
All right.
That's very important.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
You can always ask the questions, but don't wait for a response. It's
Oh,
just for them to engage in the thought.
mm.
Okay.
Got it.
What is the meaning of credibility? Credibility is that, who am I to give you this message? As simple as that. Who the hell am I to talk to you about all of this? Right now, that's where, like, I have some personal experience. I want to talk about, as I said, I want to talk about making Kolkata biryani because I'm a Bengali and my mom makes the best biryani, Kolkata biryani ever. That's my credibility. It can be very simple, but that's how you set the credibility. I'm a fast speaker. I would like to convey in the same style. Could you please suggest whether to make myself slow speaker or not? If you are too fast, your audience will not be able to take in all that you're saying. You have to give logical breaks for them to digest what you have just said. Okay. From Shakti, what do you think? What do you think can help one when he or she ran out of content? Uh, Setting the experience aside, as we won't have experience in all aspects. If you don't have experience, wait for it. You must have experience in everything, right? If you don't have experience, why are you talking about it? The idea is very simple. Why are you telling this to your audience? Just because I came to know about it, I want to tell it to my audience is not good enough a reason, at least what I feel. Okay. Maybe I can even talk about why it is so interesting for me. I can talk about, let's say, sketching. I can talk about cartoon because I feel cartoon is the best way to engage a person's emotion. And I can talk about how cartoons are close to me. I don't need to be a cartoonist to talk about cartoon, but that's where my credibility is. I think it is a great emotional thing for me. I still watch cartoons. That's is that is enough to set your credibility. Okay. um can I also have your contact details? Okay. Yes, I think many of us have the my contact details. How do you find content engaging cavaliers and kids? Uh, Kids are one of the most difficult audience. Trust me, I have got into that trouble. Maybe I'll take that offline somewhere. Kids have a completely different set of ideas. And again, know your audience. If you can deliver what they like, it obviously helps. What is the best way to engage humor in a speech, even if the person doesn't know how to do the same? I think I have answered that. Don't force fit a humor in a speech. Okay. Should we ask question to the audience during the speech to make the speech engaging? Yes, as I said. Whether we can have certain rules to finish a speech on time. Don't go by any rules. Don't go by any rules. If the moment you try to put into a rule, remember, every speech is different. Every single bonsai is different. Every single plant is different, and you have to understand how you want to beautify it, how much you want it to grow, how much you want it to keep short. So treat every single speech as unique. Ideally, don't keep a speech which starts conclusion after 7 minutes. Okay, you will be in trouble, trust me. Okay. How many questions can be asked during a speech? No limitation. It's up to you. If you can fit in, you can definitely ask. Wherever there is a logical break, don't keep on asking question. Your audience will be like, "Are you also speak? Why are you asking question to us?" So be careful about that. Without personal experience, a speech will not be engaging to the audience. No, it's not. Think about it. If I sit here and start giving you gyan about rocket science, you will be like, I'll see some Elon Musk video now. I'll go to a NASA website and I'll see whatever if I need to know about it. But you won't like it, right? How to use quotes in between your speech? I do not use quotes until and unless, again, it directly contributes to the specific and the generic purpose of the speech. Remember, I'll just repeat most important three things. Anything which does not directly contribute to the specific and generic purpose of your speech, cut it out. Don't keep it in your speech. Bind them together, bind the branches together which are closer, the stories which are closer to each other. Create that stronger branch. Remember how to showcase it to your audience, because your audience should not think it's a plant while you are thinking it's a bonsai, right? So know your audience and craft your speech according to that. But most importantly, spread your emotional roots very strong. Only then your audience will be emotionally engaged with you. Okay.
DTM Shubadip,
Yes.
I have a question. Can I ask
Yes,
it?
yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So this is Givli Seshang.
Yes.
So I'm the person who asked that question: how to find content engaging for Gaviliers and Gaviliers and children. So to say, sir, in which genre could we find? Because in a club there are Gaviliers from 8 to 18, where 8 to 10 they have some certain set of, like, their interest would be different, like animations, cartoons, etc. But 10 to 12 they will be concentrated more in studies, and 12 to 17, 18 they would be like thinking positive and
Correct.
like that. So how to find how to speak if someone doesn't like that, and why you are coming and wasting my time, like that they should not feel.
See, I understand. I understand the question completely. See, the idea is not about one person in the audience. Okay, it's never about one person in the audience. Even in Toastmasters, when we speak, we have people who are also 20 years old, who are just out of college maybe, and we have people who are 60, 70 years old in our audience also. How do we engage them, right? The idea is very simple. Whether you speak from your heart, one, and whether you speak because it is close to your heart. At the end of the day, for example, let's say I want to talk about physics. Let's put it in a Gavilier term. I want to talk about, let's say, forget physics. I want to talk about something in science. Okay. I want to talk about how I love maths. Okay. Can I showcase that love for maths in my speech? Can I tell my audience how much I love maths first, then talk about mathematics itself? If I can showcase to my audience that I have a great love for maths, automatically your audience wants to listen to you.
Yeah,
They don't want to listen to you. They don't want to listen to you because of the maths problem. They want to listen to you for your love for maths.
Yeah, that is called credibility, right?
Yes, that is exactly what is credibility. Exactly. Right? You build your, and that's the roots, right? That's why I'm continuously saying the hidden secret on a bonsai is the roots. Okay, if you can build that with your audience, it will be a strong and beautiful bonsai. Any kind of topic. See, I talked about Kolkata biryani in Chennai, but still I got best speaker in that, right? Nobody, most probably, many of them haven't even eaten Kolkata biryani, and they're thinking like, Kolkata biryani is not even that tasty. But people got engaged because of the emotions I had, because of the love I showed for that biryani.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I think we are at the end of the time. Sai, can we go ahead and take a few more questions?
I don't mind if audience is okay. Personally speaking, I would love to stay back. And
okay. Okay. I also can be there for some time. So I'll go ahead and take the questions. Anyone who is ready to stay, please stay. If you have another engagement, I will completely understand if you decide from the session.
Somebody, sorry, Subhadip, if somebody has a hard stop, what I'll do is just let's juggle a bit together. If somebody wants to drop out, I have shared in the chat box the feedback link. So if somebody has a hard stop who has to drop at 8 o'clock, please take a couple of minutes to fill this feedback form. I know I'm not going as per the sequence because when the content is engaging, I think time we can always extend. But if somebody wants to drop out, take a couple of minutes. Your feedback is very valuable to us. Please.
Yes, please share your feedback. Definitely. I completely agree that though I'm doing the session, I also need feedback for my session. So please give your feedback as well. Okay, I will get back to the question. Are you present in LinkedIn? Yes, I am present in every social media. I think I am there. Will you ask questions to the audience, making the audience feel the speech? Yes. Again, do I make them think to the specific purpose of the speech? Do I make them think in a line which will help me in the subsequent part which I'm going to talk about, right? I will not ask them suddenly, so do you like mangoes or bananas? But you know what? I like ice cream. No. How many of you like mangoes? I think mango is the king of fruits. This can be a question, right? So always it contributes to the next part of your speech. Shubadip demonstrated engaging Cavaliers in one of the OTP last year. Yes, I remember. And that was one hell of a time. But that was amazing. Trust me, that was an amazing session. How to use quotes in between your speech? I think, as I said, it is not compulsory. If that quote is exactly in line with the emotions you want to convey, in line with the message that you want to convey, use it. There's nothing wrong in it. Okay. Could you share the LinkedIn link? You can search me up. Trust me, you can search me up with my name. I think you will get it really easily. Should we avoid controversial topics at all time, even after the topics are lawful and are quite not understood by the audience due to the stigma surrounding it? Yes. Toastmasters is not a forum where we take up these issues and discuss about it. Why we tell that avoid controversial topics, excuse me, why we talk about, and this is for those who are new in Toastmasters, maybe. I know many of us have this question: why do we avoid controversial topics? Why do we avoid politics? The reason is not that we don't encourage you to have political views, have religious views, not that. The idea is very simple. In Toastmasters, we don't want anyone to get uncomfortable. There might be someone, maybe I am in the audience, I am not comfortable talking about that topic. We don't want to get uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, Toastmasters is that, that safe four walls where we want to come, make mistakes, and be happy about making that mistake. So let it be that happy forum. Let that four walls be the person where everyone can be themselves and share in that happiness and learn without any of those stigmas in their mind, without any inhibitions in their mind. So definitely let's maintain that. If you want to do that, go ahead and have that separate group and chat. There is nothing stopping you from there. But for a person who has limited personal experience, it is difficult to bring personal experience in every speech, right? Tell me one topic where you have limited personal experience. This is, again, as I said, that's where I said keep it aside and let it grow. Okay. For example, I'll give you a simple example about something. I always wanted to talk about why we should choose speaking as a career. And this I wanted to talk about since I got into Toastmasters, because I always loved public speaking. Even from school, I was an ardent debater. I was an elocutionist. I was in the school debate team. In college, I was debating. I was doing drama and a lot of things. And I always wanted to talk about that. You know what? People should forget about the traditional professions, and they should look into the other kind of professions. Why not take up these jobs which involves you in speaking? Now, for 8 years in Toastmasters, for 7 years in Toastmasters, I've never given this speech, because I know I cannot give the speech. I was a test analyst. I was an engineer, literally in that force-fitted Indian way of profession, right? I never gave that speech. I had it ready with me. I never gave that because I did not have any personal experience. But I spoke about it after I cracked my job in Infosys as an L&D professional, after I got the job as an L&D professional, and most importantly, after I became one of the top 3 facilitators in entire Infosys. Now I have a credibility. Now I can share the experience that I have from the, the joy I get from actually doing this job. So let it keep it aside. Okay, don't have that urge to, force your audience to listen to it. Have that, let's say you have one story, give it a shorter speech. It's okay. Later when you have more experience, add that, build that branches together and add that. Right? Okay, personal experience shall be even hearing your childhood stories from your grandparents or relatives, how you really enjoyed matters the most. Yes, it can be anything. See, as I said, for the biryani story, I did not give a story about me cooking biryani. I gave the story about my mom cooking biryani. And that was the research, how she does it. Right? My experience is only eating it. That's it. So it can be very simple. But where am I in that speech? It cannot be, a speech cannot interest your audience if it is simple that I have heard about this and I am doing this. A classic example of this, what I will tell you now, it's a talk of the town, is Ikigai, right? I'm sure many of you would have heard it. And I have seen many people wants to go ahead and talk about Ikigai. Okay, what experience have you done it? Have you got? Have you actually experienced it? Have you actually practiced it? And have you benefited from it? If not, it cannot be, you cannot simply say that I have heard about Ikigai and Ikigai is a great thing. How do you know it's a great thing? It can be as simple as, you know what, I heard about Ikigai and it's been only 2 days I'm practicing and I can see a huge change in me. And I'm sure I'll not give it up. That is itself an experience, right? Okay. So if we don't have personal experience about a topic, the speech can wait till we get the credibility to give the speech, right? Yes. Think either you get the credibility to, you get the experience to give the speech, or you think more. I'm sure you will come up with, memories, maybe which is not coming to your mind right then, but you will think about it later. Like I said, for my magic speech, I had only one story, but I did not build that story immediately. Later, when I thought about it, I thought, acha, dad even did this in my birthdays. Then later I came to know, when I had a girlfriend in school, he did something which showed that, that magic. And then all those came together. Those branches came in, the tying of the bark of it together, all those things came in. So give it time. Trust me, you will get it. When presenting the speech topic, is it okay to share source where I have got the topic in the PPT? Again, if you're using any kind of visual aids, as we call it in Toastmaster, any kind of visual aid, be it a PPT, be it a prop, be it anything, if it does not add value to your speech, don't do it. Okay. It's not necessary in a speech to share the source, because ultimately I don't want to know where the source is from until unless you have established the credibility of it, right? I want to know it from your experience. Otherwise, I'll go, the moment you share the source with me, you are making me think that why should I not go to the source and read about it? And why should I listen to you? You're making me think about it more. So try not to do that. Share your experience. I have read it somewhere. I have read this. It's okay. That's completely fine. I am here to listen to that unique speech from you, not to that one article which thousands of people are reading. I want to hear your perspective. That is why I'm listening to you, right? Today, I am sure many of you who are struggling is reading a lot of things. Reading a lot of things about speeches, reading your manuals, reading your pathways manuals, reading Toastmasters articles and all that. Today, you are here to listen to my experience. If I tell you a same thing that is written in the Toastmasters magazine, you will be like, wasted my 1 hour. So let's give your experience. Okay. Sad stories or infamous experiences in one's personal life shall also be avoided, even if some people don't accept it. For example, mental health stories like DID, SPD, depression, etc. if one thing, this is something which I talk about to my mentees. Thank you, Shrikar, for bringing this up. Something which I talk about to my mentees. The story which I shared in my magic ends up because I lost my father when I was just getting into my job. And it was something which was very, very hard for me. Something which took me years to overcome, even from a personal perspective. After I lost my father, it took me almost like 1 or 2 years to accept that fact for various reasons. I never talked about it to anyone because I had not overcome that emotion yet. So if there is a strong emotion like that, anything, if there is a strong emotion, if you have yourself not overcome it, try not to give it to your audience. Because trust me, you will not be able to control your emotions right. And don't get emotional about it. What happens is, I've seen many a times, they try to write a very emotional speech and they get so much attached to it, they're not able to break that bigger leaves. And it no more looks like a bonsai, it looks like a big speech. So you should be first be able to understand that bonsai is not just for you. The bonsai is to show it to people as well. So I should have that courage, and should have that value that I want to break that bigger leaf so that new smaller leaves can grow. If I'm so emotionally attached to that tree that I cannot break that bigger leaf, it will not become a bonsai. Okay. We don't reveal our, okay, I think I've skipped some of the things. Let me go back quickly. We don't reveal our name yet. We present in a way that personal experience happened to someone. Will it work? Depends. How you want to present it to your audience, depends. Definitely works. If you can tie it up together at the end, it works. Definitely, not a problem in that. Okay. Shall we sum up and close? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We will. Yeah. Definitely, we'll try to close by 8:15. Very informational session. Thank you so much. How deliver a bad message in our speech. This is the final project in traditional communication, which is ACG. Put them to rest first. We talk about this for managers, how they give bad feedback. Give them a good news first and then deliver the bad news. Simple feedback technique. Tell them, oh, what a great speech. But you know what? There was nothing in that speech. It's like that kind of a feedback, right? Deliver a good thing and then go ahead and
DTM
deliver.
Shubhadip, the project is itself completely should be a bad message.
Bad message, correct. I understand. So give them a lighter message first. It's not that give a good message. Give them a lighter message saying that, you know what, we all have been doing great, but there is a bad news. It's something like that. You don't need to give a specific good message. You know what, today we are all gathered here. I'm great to see you all guys doing good. However, there is a bad message that I need to give you. So it's like putting them to ease and then delivering something. Shashank, I'll definitely get back to you with the specifics of those if you need
Sir.
it. Yeah.
Anyways, I am not ACG 10, but I have.
No, I understand. Definitely, if you need those specific help for the projects, I'll definitely be happy to help.
Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Okay, I think there are okay, I think that's it. We are close to the time as well. I hope this session was helpful. I have shared whatever I use. If there are other techniques which you find is helpful, I'm not saying don't use it, but this is what I do and what has helped me throughout the last 8 or 9 years in Toastmasters. And I just wanted to share. I hope this was helpful and you learned a lot from this. Sai, back to you. And thank you so much, everyone.
Right. Thank you so very much, DTM Shubadip. It was really enlightening. Not only the content was engaging, the way in which you delivered by using the analogy and the props and relating it to what we are doing on a day-to-day basis was simply superb. It was such a great learning experience for me. As the quote goes by Gandhiji, live like you're going to die tomorrow. Many times I have demonstrated that when I attend parties. I'm not sure whether I really demonstrated. Learn like you're going to live forever. That way, it was such a wonderful learning experience. I'm sure for all the Toastmasters who attended this, it would be such a great learning experience. So on behalf of Toastmasters Leadership Institute, I sincerely thank you for enlightening us with this wonderful session. As there has been request, they want an extended session, more such follow-ups on this. That itself is a good news. And for all the participants, Toastmasters, may I once again humbly request you to please share your valuable feedback so that it will help us to further develop, improve our programs that we plan. Also, you must have seen the calendar that has been coming up for the TLI events. Please make it a point to attend so that you can get the return on investment you have for Toastmasters. So with that, I would like to draw curtains, even though I would love to spend more time keeping in view of the practical aspects. I would like to draw curtain on today's session. Thank you once again, DTM Subdeep and all the Toastmasters. I wish you all the very best. May the force be with you. Thank you. See you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.